Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are doing presumably the last GQuuuuuX recording for a while, unless they announce something new coming out or whatever, in which we are doing our character rankings and our top 3 episodes a pop. So as an introduction to the character rankings, if this is your first time here, what we did is we put out a call for audience participation, where a number of you took the poll to rank the characters alongside us, and then me and Lessons also obviously did it ourselves. We took your grand total of your scores, added them, we took the average of all of your scores together, and then took that and added it to the average of me and Lessons' scores to come up with a combined score, which you will be seeing shortly. The criteria by which we rank the characters is distinctive personality, compelling backstory, iconic visual design, emotional resonance, I just forget the last one, significant character development. So the highest you can get on the score is a 50, the lowest you can get is a 5. That said, any predictions you want to make before we get into this, Lessons?
I don't know. I think we're probably gonna get more than average B and above, but getting an S rank will be very rare if it happens at all.
Oh, that's right. I should probably go over the key. I should also have like an example for the overall key for people. So when I do this, new edition, and you're not going to know who the hell this is because this is Dan. This is Dan. He's a character from Voltace 5. Yeah, he's a character who shows up once at the very end. That's why I've chosen to use him as the example here. In the case of scores, there will be 2 colored bars on the side of the character. One indicates the difference between how me and Lessons scored the character. The other one will be the difference between how we scored the character to the audience. And Dan down here is being an example of the arrow indicators, which will indicate the difference in points that we scored them, which I thought was an interesting metric, and I wanted to continue that from the last time that we did it. So obviously, if there's just a colored bar, it's less than a 5-point difference. 5 points and below, I should say. So if it is 5 points, there's nothing there. Greater than 5 is 1, greater than 10 is 2, and greater than 15 is 3. I cannot foresee any reason there would be more than 15. Hasn't happened yet. So, that is the key. So I guess with that said, let's see what's in F tier.
Slender,
who I think the audience voted for more, and you voted for more than me. But again, in neither case, not more than 5-point difference between us.
yeah.
Us or the audience. I mean, pretty clear why.
Yeah.
He's only referenced, essentially. I mean, he's seen in that visual. We don't get to see him. Kind of a cool little, not a cool, but funny, maybe, little inversion on the fact that Slender is the only member of that party that survived the first go-around in the OG Gundam, to then die in the second episode. All right, any commentary on your end?
I expected more people in F tier. I guess you and the audience rated him higher than I did.
No, I will have a comment about that, I guess, in just a moment, as we go into D tier. Okay. Where, as you can see, I've rescued quite a few people from F tier.
Yeah, well, I noticed.
Well, that's the, say, Oslo double marks, which means greater than 10-point difference between what I rated him as and what you rated him as. If I wasn't so forgiving, so many of these people, like everybody with the double marks, would have been in F tier.
That's by 10 points, right? Yeah.
Greater than 10 points. If it was just 10 points, it actually would have just been 1 mark.
Like Ward.
Yeah. I mean, also Dr. Leo Leone here, you might notice, because if you zoom out, it looks like there's nothing there. we scored him the same, and we scored him the same as the audience. Dr. Leo Leone is, without argument, exactly where he should be.
I mean, a lot of these characters, I guess you might give them more points because they were in the original UC. But the fact that, well, except for Ragushi and Ara, who don't get arrows, so they're at least 5 points.
Legit, only 3 of them were in the OG.
Yeah. The rest, I mean, they didn't have a lot of emotional impact or did anything. I mean, you even name one of them as this guy.
Just because I don't know his name doesn't mean that he didn't have impact on the story. He is
What was
present in
this guy's-
he's literally present in 2 of my favorite episodes.
And does he do anything?
Yeah, he talks to Kycelia. He gives her information. He's motivation for the plot. Here's the thing, lessons. Here's the things is that we rank people differently, so unless you want to go down a 30-minute rabbit hole about how I don't like the way you rank people, and then you want to get back on me about how you dislike my ranking methods. Like, for example, I am a big fan of the Zeon Admiralty uniform, so he's already getting 5 to 6 points in my book. You might not remember who he is. I can fucking see a picture of him. That's 5 to 6 points right there, on top of the minimum that I could give him, which is what, 4 other categories. That's 9 points right off the bat. That's half his score already.
Uragan also wasn't much of a character, at least in GQuuuuuX.
But again, there's the problem with returning characters have a thing about them that we know from OG. So there's a level of emotionality in comparison to what they did before and the possibilities of what they may have done now.
If I remember them.
Well, I remember him. Toquan, Uragang. There was a third one.
Dimitri?
Oh, no, yeah, Dimitri.
No, Dimitri is.
Well, Dimitri's the one who doesn't have any voice lines or fucking anything, but I instantly picked him out. I was like, wait a second, that guy looks fucking familiar. I know him from OG.
Mulligan?
Yep, well, as the GQuuuuuX would say, Maligan, for some reason. But we know it's fucking Mulligan. Yeah, but again, I'm I guess, a little bit more forgiving also for the Sodon crew.
Oh, you mean the green horse, the green base? Yeah,
You can't even keep it straight. What your argumentative other name for it is? It's the Sodon. It doesn't even look like a fucking horse.
It forever will be green base for me.
Forever? You mean we're done with the show, man? You can let it go.
Well,
you're defending a name that you certainly won't remember a year and a half from now if the show ever comes back.
I think I remember it.
You don't even remember to go back and rewatch an episode to see what you were renaming it for the purposes of argument.
I mean, it's being renaming it because it is the white base that got captured by Zeon and just a slap of green paint on it.
Well, the difference there is that the white base is named white base. You're naming it green base for no reason. Oh, also, Chapman and the brothel owner, our ranking is the same as the audience's ranking. Which isn't to say that our rankings are the same. The average of our rankings together is the same as the audience's average rankings. So they should be in D tier according to the audience. But again, as I said with this guy, I'm a big fan of the Zeon Admiralty uniform, so Chapman gets bonus points on my book.
I guess we're on to C tier then. Seems to be the biggest block here.
Because I will say, we have been heavily on point, I think more so than any other ranking we've done with the audience. Or at least I remember seeing a lot more gray in here. Like, obviously, you and me both thought MASH was exactly where he should be, even though we ranked him higher than the audience did. Us and the audience both thought... Oh, Rasset, because... Man, how do you not like Rasset? She's the captain of the Sodon. She gets the, I would say, third most lines on the entire of the Sodon. Anytime they need to do something and it's not part of Chalia's plan, she's the one talking about it, giving orders, telling people what to do, commenting on what the current state of Zeon is. She is my favorite background Zeon character in the show.
Yeah,
I got
she
that
had
when
that
you
much respect.
initiated this conversation by questioning why she was so great.
I actually prefer Pominarian more than I do Rat. Well, clearly
The
he has
inappropriately named cat.
It's not a cat.
Whatever.
It's in fact a dog.
I mean,
A cute
you
little
don't even
dog.
have
A
to tell
purple, cute
me
little
that
dog.
you liked it more. We can see now with a new system of triangles that you ranked it like greater than 10 points than me.
Cute dog. Of course I like him.
And of course, also the green bar shows that you ranked it so much higher than the audience did.
He's cute. What can I tell you? I like him.
I'm not asking why you like them. I like him. It's cute. It's an animal. Usually we only get robots as companions, so it's fine that we got an animal this time. It's just I didn't see it.
And the namesake of the clan, too.
Okay.
That's how important he was. Or is.
Here's the
He
thing.
didn't die.
Here's the thing. Unlike every other time when you've been like, why'd you rank this person so high? Why do you even remember this guy? You brought up the animal and then launched into your defense. You started this conversation and the attack and the defense. I thought I ranked them fine. I don't care that much, though.
I think he should have been at least B tier.
No. I mean, I disagree, but then again, I think the audience disagrees because, again, green, we ranked it higher than the audience did. But then again, that could just be an element of you raising the score by being greater than 10 over mine, and then that raising the average, and our average just overcoming their average. Like, Shuji's robot, the audience thought should be higher. But then again, you ranked it higher too, so maybe I guess that's on me. But then again,
it is a memorable little robot, yeah.
Is it? My thing is that nothing comes of it. It's Shuji's robot, so does that imply he didn't bring it from the other side? Because it just attaches itself to Neon and then fucking does nothing.
Probably.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That if it did come from the other side, fucking waste of time that turned out to be. Because it legit does nothing. That's my point. It sits on Neon's head for the back half of the show.
But it is visually distinctive.
There's just the confusion in my head is I thought that I ranked these people, a bunch of them, fairly high or appropriate. And I thought that you would be ranking them lower. And then I get around and seeing like Mako over here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you're 10 points over me? And it's like, oh, okay. I thought I did pretty good, but and again, it's not a competition to see who ranks who higher. This is just informative. You know, like we both thought Joaquin was exactly where he should be, even if the audience thought Joaquin should be higher. Or our average and the audience's average said Denim is right where he should be.
Although, surprisingly enough, I rank him higher than you did.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know.
Not by much.
Sometimes, it's less than 5 points. So, you know, like maybe a outfit score here or there, or you thought he was had more emotional resonance than I did. Overall, just surprising that when you rank a Zeon person higher than I do, considering that I'm more lenient towards the Zeon people. Or, I guess you didn't really like Dr. Leone's daughter.
She doesn't do much. One scene, she seems to hint that she has a relationship with, Char, right? And then the next scene, she's being told off by her father, like, yeah, no, we shouldn't listen to women. And she's like, okay, I'll be a doormat now. Sure,
you're confusing scenes. Her dad doesn't say anything about you shouldn't listen to women to her. He says it about Caecilia when they come flying down the tunnel. Oh, fucking Caecilia, this is why you shouldn't let women in charge. He didn't say anything like that to his own daughter. I made a joke at the time implying that she's in the room. You shouldn't say that shit anyway. No, I got a good emotionality between the end of the episode where she appeared next to what we find out to be Char, what the audience fucking spoiled in comments. You know, this
Yeah.
guy has the same voice actor as Char. Hint, hint. Stop dropping hints. We're 2 weeks behind you. Anyway, I thought there was good emotionality between her and what turned out to be Char. And then her excitement for the project and everything.
Too bad that Char being Char, like, well, I have no more use for you, so I'm out.
Well, to be fair,
I'm out.
he didn't do anything to her.
True. Didn't try to save her either.
I mean, you don't
Death
have
by
to save
neglect is still
everybody.
death.
It's not neglect.
He knew what was coming, didn't pull her out. It's like, oh, I'm out.
They all knew what was coming. Giant fucking mobile suits were coming down the way. And to be fair, he got 2 to 3 steps closer to the door with his time.
That saved his life.
Cool. I
That's
still
all it
think
took.
probably your responsibility is to save your own life.
Well, that shows how much he cared. Like,
Well, obviously he was using them. My argument isn't how
Yeah.
much Char cared about her. That's not. I didn't score her based on other people's opinion of her. I enjoyed her enthusiasm, her back and forth, her talking about her father. Maybe not so much her father himself. I thought she was an enjoyable character, and again, just another point where I saved her from being in D tier. I have to assume I've saved Rasset from being in D tier as well. I don't think the dog would have been in D tier, even though you scored it 10 points higher. The fact that there's a green bar there implies that I also ranked it pretty high, higher than the audience, which means it just probably would have been lower in C tier. Oh,
Yeah,
that's probably something
scraping
I forgot to explain, so I'll explain it now in the middle of C tier. If you look at the numbers underneath the characters' names, that means that's the score that they got. 2 characters that have the same score. Doesn't matter what order they're in, they're effectively in the same rank. And then obviously, different characters, higher scores, obviously means they're higher ranked. Alright, anything else to say about C tier?
Nope.
Alright, back to B tier. Back to B tier. Now to B tier. Apparently you weren't a big fan of the original Lala, or the other version of Lala, rather.
Well, isn't so much because she herself doesn't do much of anything.
She does in
She
the final
is the
episode.
center. What, she disappears, basically?
No. In the flashback, Shoji is showing you get what that Lala did in that timeline where she failed to save Char. Plus, not for nothing, but she still shares all of the backstory of that Lala as well.
Yeah. But she's not that Lala, though.
No, that's why I just corrected myself earlier when I said OG Lala and I said the other Lala.
I mean, I found her more to be someone people fought over rather than her own actions and what,
Legitimately, it's her grief that causes this entire story to begin. And then we see the inception of that grief. It's literally, thank God I didn't use it, the creepiest Lala face I've ever seen.
True.
But you knew I had to score Dren higher. That was gonna happen.
I'm a quux.
Yeah, and Girin. Again, the uniform, man. You gotta give points to the uniform. But yeah, as per is typically the fashion, like A, B, and C tier usually, maybe not so much this time, but C tier are filled with me ranking things higher. It usually seems like the middle ranks are where I score more people higher. I'm more forgiving for middle tier characters. And then when we get close to the top, it seems to be more you, typically.
I'm not surprised about Haru, though. Haru.
Yeah, because I think I only really ranked Haru on, ironically, appearance. Even though I complained about I didn't like him being in a beanie the entire time. Ironically, I think I chose the best Haru in a beanie picture for him. What? I don't really have a problem looking at him in this picture. It's funny. it's funny and it's kind of cute. So I think I ranked him like maybe like a 6 or a 7 on appearance. Because remember,
I
it's
like him.
only a difference of like a little over 5 points.
Yeah.
And also, he loses points for our whole theory about does he know what's going on? How does he know all this information? And then he just turns out he's just a fucking Haru. He doesn't know anything.
Or maybe, because this is a known fact that the Harus in different universes say lines from other Harus universes. He may be the real tether between the universes.
You say that. You say that it's a known fact. I've never encountered that fact before. I know you've said it before, I think, in Gundam Seed, but I've never encountered that fact before. Nor do I ever recognize any Harus saying lines from other Harus, so if this is some sort of Easter egg, again, I just never encountered it. I was going to say, of course, we and the audience, and on average, agreed Jezzy, Giran, and DEUX. That's right, I'm continuing the joke for this last episode, too. Well, I mean, again, had no fucking clue who she is. I'm assuming she's from a future show that we'll watch, but not to my appearance. And wasn't that, like, pressing of a character? Like, I think we already passed
she
by
was
Gates
distinctive,
Kappa.
though.
And
Yeah, she was
appearance. Again,
distinctive.
appearance. That's
And
one.
behavior.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, not.
And
I didn't. Not
she
clear.
is
I'm not.
God's, the God Murasame. Not just a Murasame.
You mean Psycho?
She's God. Yeah.
Psycho Gundam. Again, I'm not disagreeing with you so hard because the fact she's in B tier. It's not like I gave her a D tier ranking and you pushed her up. You literally ranked her less than 5 point different than I did. So that is the point of debate, is that there is no debate. You only gave her 4 to 5 points difference.
She's God's sword, basically.
Cool.
And Chyla came in and broke that sword.
Yeah, I would say she's literally nobody to me. She's the girl who failed to kill Kycelia. And, as proof of the people show up based entirely on their OG appearances, Artesia, who literally showed up at one back story flash and then the final bit of the show.
Yeah. As the Queen of Sion. I guess now.
Which is a weird story because it implies that she fought for the Federation. Because, she's at Sodan and whatnot in a gun cannon. And then still became the leader of Zeon.
Well, I guess that's well, she still is a daikon, right? And
right. But think about that when you're talking, like the same thing. When I was talking, somebody in Seed, the idea that they fought and killed their own countrymen.
Yeah, this guy. Was
it Athrun? Yeah, it was Athrun, I think. Yeah. You fought and killed your own countrymen, and then you come back. It's like, you don't think people are gonna have a problem with you?
Well, his fiancee or ex-fiancee, she literally, for a brief moment, she became the leader of the colonies, and then, in the movie, she gets her own organization. But yeah.
But I'm indicating towards it's the same thing. It's the same thing here. Is that she fought against Zeon, and then becomes the leader of them. And it's like, you don't think they're gonna remember? Maybe you got lucky. Maybe you killed everybody that saw you on the battlefield.
Or it could well be that by this time the Sabis have done so much damage to Zeon, especially with their attempt to not only destroy the Earth, but possibly destroy the Zeon, the principality of Zeon with their infighting, right? Like they destroyed Abu Quo and killed how many soldiers there, and wasted how much money on Yamato, right? So people are like, yeah, we were supporting the Sabis when we were fighting for independence, but now we're just plain tired of them, Well,
then it's a weird choice to bring back old royalty.
Well, I think she could represent a return to the ideals of her father,
You
right?
know, the
Like,
ideals still exist independent of the family name. Also, you know, she was a child back then, so I don't think he like taught her everything he knew before he died. Sorry,
it's a
what I'm
symbolism.
really doing here, Lessons, before you step in, is I'm buying time for my other boards to load so I can get this guy's fucking name.
Hmm.
Which is to say that Darcia should have just taken over Xi'an. Darcia
Garcia.
Bakarov, the prime minister of Xi'an, the one that
Oh, okay.
negotiated the armistice, well, in the other timeline, but we know that he's alive here because they had that whole thing about how he just walked away, or he didn't walk away, I don't know, walked away from the conversation that they were having at the very least.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a political ploy by him. Put her as a figurehead, a constitutional monarchy. Technically, that's what the Principality of Sion is. But he's the real leader, right? She's the symbol. He is the one who actually has a real
I mean,
political
except
power.
if what you're applying is essentially they have the UK government that's not been shown to us by the fact that their excellencies have all actually maintained actual real power.
I mean, yeah, but that's kind of like that. You can have it on paper that that's the system how it works, but the reality could be very different, right? Especially during wartime.
What I'm saying is the reality isn't very different because again, Giran controls everything. Caecilia controlled everything. Anything they got their hands on, they had control over. We've never heard Darcia controlling anything except for, I guess, the political government back home, which is apparently
Civilian side.
also bows to them.
But now that they want to do a reform, they could have a situation where she is a figurehead and he has a actual political power.
Well, I don't think that's going to work out well, considering that she's not the kind of person to back down. So,
Well, it depends if they disagree, right? But if they're in agreement, then
as far as we know, Darcia was also a member of Xi'an during Operation British.
true. But once the principal architects of it are dead, I don't think anybody's going to be looking for more justice. The eye will be, oh no, Caecilia is dead. The entire Stabby family is dead, except for one, the youngest.
I feel like maybe we
And
should, for when we do the audio clips, because we haven't added any in a while. Your love of justice and whatnot. We need to get the English narrator for the opening of Gundam Wing for the original openings. Justice and peace. The way he just like spits out and peace, like it's such a vile word.
yeah.
Well, I mean, because it is in the way that they're your United Earth Alliance is doing it. It's
Oh yeah,
turns
definitely.
sick in his mouth. It's just like the way he says it, and it seems like appropriate for the way you always use justice in revenge terms.
You interpret it as a revenge. I
Because
never
you're
said it
going
was.
outside the realm. Because you're doing vigilante justice, which is essentially revenge. You don't think justice has been served, so you think these people can't get away with it. Well, if society says no, and you do it anyway, that's revenge.
But in this situation, I think it would fit because the principal architects of that massacre are all dead
Again, we don't know
by
that
each other's
though.
hand.
There's got to be so many other people in the planning phases that just haven't shown up on screen, right? And we don't know how much of that is Darcia like reallocating resources. Sorry, we have to cut back on, spending on welfare projects for the rest of the Munzo citizenry so they can redirect funds to Operation British.
Anywho, I think we're ready for the next tier.
Lost my mouse there for a
Seems to
second.
be pretty small, as A tier should be, I guess.
Most of the main characters of the show, in fact. And actually not
Except
that
for
heavily
one.
weighted towards purple, as you'd expect. There's four purples actually, sorry. I guess it is. half as many yellows, and then one, we agreed that Shikyo should be exactly where she is. The audience thought she should be higher.
Yeah. Yeah, but she, the fandom has adopted her as a mommy figure.
She is a super unicum.
Apparently,
That
yeah.
super adult word that we all use now without giggling. Shuji is the only one that we put higher than the audience did. And then again, has to be somewhat you related, because yours is the only triangle showing up in all of A tier.
I think he was
Poorly.
unique in presentation, or close to it.
Was he?
He was important to the story to the very end.
He was Macross Delta important to the story. Tell me who Shuji really is. Beyond some guy from the other universe who came here to free Lala or destroy the universe. Other than that, who the fuck is he?
I think he's a version of Amuro, basically.
He's not, actually. You want to hear something that I found out, which makes no goddamn sense to me, but is apparently the truth?
Uh-huh.
You know how I said that Char was in the red mobile suit?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that may or may not have been true. Actually, I don't have any fucking idea about that, but that was my early theory. Apparently, Amuro was in the RX-78. No, sorry. Amuro was in the white Gundam. The GQuuuuuX.
Okay.
So every time it was moving, or a lot of the times it was moving, that was Amuro.
It was
Yeah. You picked that up, right? You figured that out? No, I didn't figure that shit out. So technically,
there was no clue.
I should have added GQuuuuuX itself to the board, but I was like, "Fuck that!" I didn't pick that up.
In fact, how would that work? It means that he survived and knew enough about the Gundams to somehow influence them, either from another world, another reality, or from this one, like Char was doing, right?
When you say survived, are you meaning like in this universe, or you mean the other universe, Amuro survived?
No, in this universe. Because he doesn't even show up to the fight, right? So we don't know what happened to him. The only mention that close was like, oh yeah, we see a car on the road. It's one car on the road, and that's it. We assumed that was Amuro because that's the same line they said in the original episode. But aside from that, he never shows up unless he was the pilot of the other experimental Gundam that fought Char in the battle of Luna 2 that Char destroyed. In which case that he might have died, but we never saw who that pilot was. So
Amuro Ray's page on the Gundam Wiki for the other side, his spirit was actually inside the GMS Omega GQuuuuuX, assisting and protecting Amate Izahara during the confrontational battle between her and Shuji Ito. He declared that he no longer wanted to see the Gundam taking Lala's life again. He lent his strength to Amate, and they defeated the Gundam, putting an end to Shuji's journey together through multiple universes to chase after and kill Lala. He also assured Amate that she and Shuji would meet again.
I gotta watch that episode again if we actually hear a voice that says that, or is she just talking and saying it?
Yeah, I haven't done any rewatching to take notes, but apparently they are quoting episode 12.
We didn't hear the original voice.
But you wouldn't. You wouldn't, would you?
So, yeah.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Yeah, but if it's a new voice and we haven't heard that voice in something else, we can't recognize it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think it's been so long since I've actually heard Amuro to begin with that even if it was some crazy reason that they included original Amuro, even if it was, I wouldn't recognize it anyway. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that I don't even remember why we went down this rabbit hole. There was something you said about a character here. Oh, no, we were talking about who the fuck is Shuji Ito. And you said something about Amuro, and I don't remember what it was anymore. But my point being that Shuji is an unexplained character who ultimately I don't feel satisfied was like the villain at the end.
I don't think he was the villain
He wanted to
necessarily.
destroy this universe. Even if he was trying to save Lala, he wanted to destroy this universe. Also, not for nothing, he fights our main characters and tries to destroy them. That's main villain behavior. So either your argument is that our main characters are villains, or people are just fighting each other for no reason, no acceptable reason.
I mean, that would mean that Neon was also a villain because she was willing to
She was about to destroy the Earth. That is a completely separate thing. That is a discussion about Neon and manipulations by Kycelia and all that other stuff. Literally stuff you brought up. So I don't think you can take that point of view without considering your own arguments. Also, if Neon is the villain for wanting to destroy the Earth, how is Shuji not the villain for wanting to destroy everything? He wants to destroy
I think from his point
universe.
Of view, the point of view, this universe shouldn't exist in the first place, right?
So are you able to kill literally 9 billion people plus any alien races that may exist and whatever because you don't believe they're real? We just spent 11 episodes learning everybody's got emotions and goals and life dreams and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then you want to say, they're not real. It's fine. Not for nothing. Shuji also spent all his time amongst them.
But he still had a very hard time understanding them. That was kind of part of his deal.
I don't think that forgives it.
No, I'm saying it explains it, doesn't forgive it.
Okay, well, I think you're at least on board now with considering Shuji to be the villain. And I'm saying that he is not well explained. He is some guy from the other side who has no backstory, because when we get show what's happening here, and we see that Lala is when they showed us the whole diatribe about the other side, and it's all about how Lala fails to save Char, right? And how she created a bunch of multiverses to try and create a universe where Char survives. Shuji is in none of it. He's not present for the attack. He's not any of the characters in the flashback. He's nobody.
Oh, maybe if we get a second season, we realize who he is, but
that doesn't matter, though. I'm talking about where we ranked him here. I'm explaining why he does not belong in A tier. He is nobody.
I mean, he's an important figure within the narrative. Not in a multiversal kind of way.
Imagine Macross 7 was entirely just Basara and gang fucking around. And then the last episode, the Proto-Devlin show up and they try to eat the universe. And it's like, I have no attachment to the Proto-Devlin. They're important. They almost destroyed reality. But I'm not going to put them in A tier.
No, but he's been there in the story before. He's been there from the very beginning, piloting the Red Gundam, right?
He is a hungry guy at the beginning who irrationally kills a bunch of people who he didn't have to kill, and then vanishes, and then comes back as a killer who wants to destroy the entire universe.
I think he's still an important character. He might not be the hero, but he's certainly an important character.
I would also want to reiterate the fact that we don't put them in the tiers that they are in because of importance.
True.
I mean,
I think he had an emotional resonance. I resonated with him.
I think the final episodes where he shows up and his master plan is revealed really de-resonates me with him. The fact that we don't know who the fuck he is. At the end of a show, you should at least know something about your villain. All I know is that he wants to destroy this universe and protect Lala. And I don't know why. If I don't know the character's motivation, how emotionally resonant can I be with the character? And as I said before in an earlier piece, I'm judging him based on him, not other characters. Like the fact Machu is scored higher than him. The fact that Machu is infatuated with him or Nyan is infatuated with him is not an element of his character. He doesn't even interact with that shit. At best,
True.
he was sick one time and they thought he was interacting with that shit.
Required. Well, it did motivate Nyan to nearly destroy the planet because he wanted to be back with him. So,
Well, no, his absence motivated her. She wanted to get him back, and she was, I guess, at some point told doing this stuff might make it possible for him to come back.
well, if his absence motivator, it's because his presence also motivated him.
No, there's a difference. If your kid goes missing, you do things motivated by their absence, not because of what they were like when they were present. No, when you're present, your kid's present, you take them to parks, you go to their recitals, you do shit with your kid. Their absence is why you fucking beat the shit out of the guy down the street because you thought he might have had a clue. Different motivations for different aspects of being or not being there. You're not beating the shit out of the guy down the street because he saw your kid while your kid's at home. Well, you might, depending on... That's, again, a different motivation factor.
I think it's all falls on the fact that you're attached to this kid and you want to see him safe and you want him returned. Just like you would take him to the park.
This is bad writing. This is bad writing lessons is what you're describing. You don't beat the shit out of a guy to try and find your kid when your kid's at home. You beat the shit out of a guy because he's leering at him through like the playground park thing. Different motivations.
You harm someone you care.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Different motivations for different aspects. Being present and not being present, you don't do the same things. She wouldn't try to destroy the Earth or get Shuji back if Shuji was fucking there. She would just try to be with Shuji, so she wouldn't have been on this journey. But the fact that he goes missing and she's trying to do everything she can to bring him back, that's a different motivation.
But I think it stems from the same point.
It doesn't.
His importance to her, right?
His importance to her is like, when you talk about like dimensions, like one dimension is a dot, 2 dimensions is a line, that sort of thing. His importance is a one-dimensional aspect of the character. His being there and not being there would be 2 different sides of a 2-dimensional plane. That's different directions for motivation. And that's why I'm saying it's completely different things about being there and not being there for him. For her.
I still think it's basically the same.
Well,
because that second motivation comes from the first, right? They're not detached to a point where they're distinct, they're separate from each other. In other words, if you never had a child, right, you would have missed them. But you had a child.
Till that too, Wanda Maximoff.
Well, she created an entire family because she wanted to have children and a family.
She essentially just had a daydream about having kids and then killed a bunch of people to get her imaginary kids back.
Yeah, which is...
My point, though, is that you're wrong. Writing. Your point is that I'm wrong. I guess this is the move on point because we need to learn a better method for getting to the end of the argument. All right. Anything else to say about A tier, considering we've said only things about one character, I feel like?
I mean, the one character that's really missing here is Chyla. Boom. So
is that the only person you're going to say is going to be an S tier?
I mean, I thought he was. I mean, Shiko was always going to be there, but Neon and Machu are in A tier. Char is also in A tier. We have both Lalas. Right.
I mean, quite literally, I dragged Lala and Xavier up to A tier because if it wasn't for me, apparently they're on the 37, which is the barrier. They would have been B tier characters.
All the members of Clan Pomeranian are in the tiers below. Kamoli Hardcore. Oh, I guess we saw Giran, but we haven't seen Kycelia. So it's the only places you could be. You should be here in S tier.
So is that your guess then? It's just going to be Chalia and Kycelia?
But where is Miguel? We haven't seen Miguel either.
Which one?
The one that tried to murder Xavier.
I would say, well, remember, there's also Miguel and Kaya as well. There's 2 Miguels.
He is right here. Miguel Cervantes is here.
Remember, you
Never
can
mind.
also hit Control F and type Miguel, and you'll see all the Miguels.
Never remember to do that.
That's the search function. It's a basic keyboard command.
Yeah, I'm lousy with keyboard commands.
I have been in enough situations where I did not have a mouse. Like when you're fresh installing like old Windows 10, not Windows 10, an old Windows control, and you don't have your mouse activated yet, and you have to navigate through all the prompts with just a keyboard.
So yeah, I think those are the two that are missing here.
All right, well, only thing left to do then is see who is in S tier.
Well, there you go.
And
I
we
was
both
right.
ranked Kycelia exactly the same. Of course, the audience ranked everybody higher than us. But yeah, for my money, Chalia would have been an A tier character.
Really?
I mean, apparently. I'm saying this retrospectively because he's 45, which is the bottom tier of S tier, but it's purple. So I can only say that my negative points would have been in 44 and below. I mean,
So they barely
legitimately, the
made it.
fact that you and me agree means that Kycelia is also bottom tier S character. But still, it also implies that you thought Chalia was a better character than Kycelia.
Emotional resonance, I resonated more with Chala than the Kycelia.
I think I resonated more with Kycelia.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
So, I mean, she's a more interesting character. Also, I think obviously I said it, so hopefully I believe the words coming out of my mouth. I mean, I think she is. Here's the thing: is I won't say evil, but as complicated as a character she is, I think the things that she says and does are more understandable than Chalia. Because Chalia is in like a philosophical ground of I lost all purpose in my life. I'm not even afraid to shoot myself in the head. So when I do things on an emotionally blank canvas. It's like that is getting into some like God is dead territory that I just don't really play around with. Whereas Kycelia is doing things on a very materialistic realm, which I can completely understand.
I mean, yeah.
Not for nothing as well, Chalia does most of his action scenes in the mobile suit territory, whereas Kycelia does everything on the ground.
I think that's why I also like him more. He's a mobile suit pilot, and I like me giant robot. So yeah.
Well, as I said before, I could watch an entire Gundam show with no mobile suits in it, just the politics shit, and that's Kycelia.
Yeah. So that was the ranking. I clearly prefer Shala over Kycelia, and you prefer Kycelia over Chyla. But I think both of them, again, I think that I thought I ranked Char higher, but I guess not.
Well, you did.
Or
You ranked him
Machu for that
higher than
matter.
me, but not
No.
that much higher, because again, if there's no arrows there, that means we're less than 5-point difference.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should put some.
The audience.
Maybe I should change that thing to say 6 points and above, because technically it's 5 and below is no mark.
Yeah. I guess the audience thought that Shigo was exactly where she needed to be. Sugar mommy.
Yeah, no. What? No?
Well, it's a whole series of, remember,
the
it's
audience
gray.
thought she was more. No, the top one is us. We already covered this. Literally, when we talked about A tier.
Oh, yeah, red. Yeah,
that means the audience scored her higher. But no, as I said before when we first started, I think this is the most on point that we've been. I don't think in any ranking before we've shared so many grays on our end, let alone so many grays on the audience end.
To be fair, this time around, I decided to score a little bit higher overall. Avoid the old, giving blank ones to everybody. So I guess that also helped.
I don't think I gave anybody a 1. 2. I know I gave people 2s. I don't think I gave anybody a 1.
I commented most characters in the lower rankings between 2s and 3s. But maybe give them an A1 or A, Well, still low, but not as low as I used to, where I just like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. All 1s. blank. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing is I don't think there's anybody on this list that I don't know who they are. It's a 12 episode show with not that many characters. The most confusing would have been the people wearing the helmets, but thankfully even those it's like okay, two of the guys wearing helmets are going to be the guys from the military police from the first episode. After that, there's what's the name, Bakata, which is Shogi's Mav. Yeah, and it's like he's got a bandage on his face in the picture I used him for, so I can recognize him off the bat. And there's not that many other people wearing helmets, so everyone else I know, like the Sodan crew, is very visually distinct in that they're all wearing Xi'an uniforms and all teenagers. I guess Temray is wearing a helmet, but you know we all know who Temray the fuck is. Denim was wearing a helmet. One of the Black Tri-Stars is wearing a helmet. Like I said, we can easily make a Guess Who game out of this. Is your character wearing a helmet? Alright, well, I guess that's it for the board, unless you have any further commentary.
Nope.
Alright, then. We also come with our top 3 favorite episodes. And, I mean, I would think that we probably have the same ones. I don't know, though. So, I guess you go first for your number 3.
And number 3 is Yomango's Blockade.
Not one of mine.
Oh. A pretty important
What
episode.
episode was that one again? Which episode number? 11?
11, yeah. No,
Sorry,
I think it was actually.
I got to keep track on my end for when I do this later in editing, so that's what I'm trying to.
Yeah, I think actually it was number 10, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought it was 11 because I thought it was the episode right before the final episode.
No, it's the 10th episode. It's the episode where Caecilia murders her brother, and her lover, well, his lover, and the general.
You're getting all these relationships messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, why is that your third favorite episode, though?
I mean, first of all, it really sets up the stakes for the last bit. You know, it's like, oh shit, Caecilia knows what she's doing finally, and you know, getting everything together, and seeing Chyla going like, oh shit, I fucked up. Now I gotta launch myself and try to save this from, you know, we were discussing another series where we're also getting to the end, and it doesn't seem very believable what's happening, and I have notes of that when we record it. But in GQuuuuuuX is like, you know, this is the kind of show that she could actually pull this off. This is the type of universe where killing billions of people, it's a thing, right? So,
well, also, you know, she goes over the fact that she's not like, she thinks Gurren is dumb for feeling bad about it, which is also something we never got from Gurren before. So I guess it's an indication that if Gurren survived the 1 Year War, he would have felt bad.
Maybe, or it could be her. Well, I mean, it's siblings who think they know their other siblings better than everyone else, right? And it turns out that they don't, right?
He doesn't contradict her.
Yeah, but he doesn't get a chance to, by the way, either. You know, he only appears once as like.
Well, I mean, if there's one thing Gurren never gets, it's the last word.
Yeah.
Except as he's walking out of the room with his dad.
Yeah.
That's the joke that had during Origin, is that he never gave him a chance to rebut. He just kept shouting loudly as he walked around the corner.
Yeah. Fuck you, old man. I'm winning this argument by retreating.
Yeah. Well, like you said, not on my list. My number 3 is episode 8, Falling on the Moon. In the final stages of the 1 Year War, the Sodan fleet, led by Char, launched to stop the Earth Federation forces' operation to drop Solomon a fortress to protect the lunar city of Granada. 5 years later in Granada, Jan was there with Caecilia. Now, I didn't write any specific notes about each of these because, one, I was at 1 a.m. falling asleep. So, of course, I really like the flashback to what happened previously to change timelines. So I like the whole element of Dren and company. Obviously, there's a Dren episode. Fucking love Dren. He's literally my favorite background NPC. God rest his soul. And you know, we get the whole operation to put Solomon off course. We get the Sayla appearance where she fights Char for a little bit. We get the Zek Nova itself happening. And then, not for nothing, we get a pretty good Neon episode after that where she almost dies to cake.
So yeah, it's a solid episode. Overall, I think it would have been one of my memorable mentions, except that we don't have a lot of episodes to work with, so I decided not to do any of those. But
that's why we're doing only 3, because it's like when we do like a 20 episode run or a 50 episode run, we do top 5. We're really picking out of a top 50, right? So in this case, there's only 12, so we're picking out like a fourth, a third, no fourth, by only picking 3. But
because 5 will be like nearly 40%. No, that's not how the math works, but close enough.
It's just that when it comes to episode 10, for example, I thought there was I really enjoyed, again, the Caecilia piece there at the very beginning. But after that, there's a lot of good stuff in the episode. There wasn't anything that I really didn't like from GQuuuuuX, again, except for the Shuji thing. That was episode 12 was just not good for me. It was really cool visuals, but falling on his face narratively. You're not explaining anything. I don't know why anyone's doing anything. This is not great. Except Rasset, character you asked me, why did I rank her so high? She's like, we've got to go rescue people. She's in command of the situation, absent of Chalia. She is technically the captain of the ship. Chalia is just a commander on board. But episode 8 was filled with everything that I enjoyed. I enjoy going back in time to see why this place is different. And then when we flash forward, it's a good perspective on Xavier and Neon's relationship. Xavier's home past with his previous friends, who it turned out was all killed by one of his other friends. A cool little action scene where I told you I slowed down the frame by 50% to see that, that guy didn't just vanish. He actually was incinerated in slow motion, over the course of 3 frames.
They animated the frames.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. I told you before, Gundam Seed, when that little girl gets killed, and then over the course of 5 frames, her mother grabs her, and then you see the blood splatter, the head flies off, and it's it didn't have to be that graphic. Especially when you didn't put enough animation frames in for us to see it without slowing it down.
Well, my second episode would be The Rose of Sharon.
Not one of mine either.
It's a big
which episode number
point,
was that again, you say?
The Rose of Sharon, the episode itself is episode 9. Guided by a mysterious message, Machu escapes Sodon, or Green Base, and descends along to Earth in GQuuuuuX. After crash landing to Earth, she's rescued by a woman adored as Lady, who is being held captive in Cabas, in the Cabas estate. Machu decides to escape with her, attempts to flee in the core fighter. I found this version of Lala's story to be compelling. A little, on the icky side of some aspect to it, but hey, it's a reality. They didn't go to places where normally you would go with this stuff.
Apparently it was her original backstory before Origin.
So. Yeah, original backstory. Which ironically makes sense for where she comes from. She is destitute, a beautiful woman. You have exploitative men who are yeah, you want to live? This is the deal. And she's like, I got to feed my family and keep myself alive. So I'm not condoning it, but it makes sense, right? It shows the darker side. It also kind of shows, because we've seen somewhat of the darker side of this universe, but because we spent so much time with Machu, right? She's someone who comes from a rich family, has both parents. She materially wants for nothing. She goes to this elite school. And in fact, one of the things I like about this is that Machu sort of so this is what's happening here, right? Oh, this is fucked up. I got to do something about it, right? And then you have a conversation with Lala. To be perfectly honest, the conversation with this Lala flows much better than the original conversations that Lala had with anybody, because she was very ethereal, and this Lala is more grounded. This is my reality, right? Yes, I have these visions, I have these dreams, But the reality is, I'm a highly paid courtesan, by essentially trapped in a state. I'm a slave worker, slave to this bastard of a man who has like armed guards, with rifles. Um, and then at the end, she refuses to leave because she's Lala of this universe, but she's not the Lala that is at the center of the story, right? Which is the Rosa Sharon, right? Then they are of the same, but they're not the same.
I mean, it was a really good episode. Obviously, I
Mhm.
enjoyed being right about the Rosa Sharon thing the entire time. But for me, the importance of that episode is the maids. That's why the maids are B tier on the board. Like, it looks like actually you ranked one of them within 5 points, but the other one I ranked over 5 points. But whatever, I don't know how that happens. But I ranked them both higher than you. Their story about the implication of what life is like here, and then their comeuppance of not their comeuppance, their vindication of burning the place down. I
Yeah.
thought that was the real story of that episode. Not for nothing, but it introduces these characters and they have their own thing going on, which is arguably more important than what our main character is up to.
Also explains why there's so many refugees as well, because Earth is still suffering from the aftermath of the war. Not only Operation British, but the failure of the Federation to win, right?
But my thing is, again, I'm putting more weight on the element of 5 minutes of that episode than the rest of the episode itself, which is why it doesn't make my list. All
So
right.
which one is your number two?
My number 2 is episode 4, The Witch's War.
Ah,
Is it on your
that's
list?
also on my list.
Well, it has to be your number 1 because it's
Yeah.
a super unicum known as the Witch, who shot down over 100 enemies during the 1-year war, enters the clan battle to settle an old score with the Red Gundam. Seeing this witch, who clings to mobile suit combat even at the cost of abandoning her husband and child, Machu witnesses the depth of human obsession. It is the
Yeah.
best character piece in the entire show. Like, you get
It's also a turning
everything.
point.
Well, yeah. Well, I would argue there's many turning points in the show, but I mean, you get everything. This could be a self-encapsulated episode. I don't beyond the element that she's talking about the 1-year war, so you couldn't just take it out and put it anywhere. But the fact that she goes over everything, and you see it in her, you see it in her flashbacks, you see what she's giving up or what she thinks about holding on to. It's a great character piece on that character, plus everything around her. We even get the callbacks like Mos Khan and everything. And, just generally what everyone else has been up to in their desire to get something back, or at least get revenge on the guy that a lot of them blame stuff for.
We also get character growth from her at the very end, when she realizes that yes, she is too a new type. And, at the very but I also say it's the episode that raises the stakes, because this is where people start dying, right? She intended to kill Chuji, right, on the red flying the Red Gundam, and eventually Chuji kills her and releases her from her obsession, right? The only thing I didn't like about the character, I understood it, and at the time I was like, oh, but you could have stayed with your child. But I guess that's the message. Someone that is so obsessed with revenge and, couldn't live a normal life, right? She was this ace, uh, and now she couldn't live without her Mav. We don't know exactly what the relationship was, but the implication was that it might have been romantic, depending on who they were, uh, to each other, and that she couldn't live in peace, right? That she tried to be a good mother, she tried to be married and just live a normal life in peacetime, and she couldn't let it go. That's why I put it number one.
Well, like I said, my number 2, because there's something I very specifically like about GQuuuuuX, and I'll even give you a guess to figure out what my favorite episode could be, because I'll give you a clue. My number 3 is the same thing. Why my number 1 is my number 1? It's just more of it.
You gotta give me the episode. See what happens.
If I give you the episode, you wouldn't be able to guess. You know, even just guess a number. If you can't think of the episode name, just guess a number and we'll see if you randomly get it right.
Oh, well, I think I know what it's episode 2 then.
And why would that be?
The White Gundam. Because it's basically their version of retelling the original story and how it is different from the original UC-79 and what happened to the characters and, you know, why things happened the way they were.
Do you think that's the thing that I'm focusing on is my favorite thing? That's why the connection between episode 8 and episode 2?
Yeah.
Well, my number 1 is episode 2, The White Gundam. Char, an ace pilot of the Principality of Zeon Forces, captures the Earth Federation's latest mobile suit Gundam, a key component in their Operation V at Side 7. From that moment, the tide of war shifts dramatically, ultimately leading to the Principality of Zeon's victory in the One-Year War. However, just before the end of the war, Gundam and Char... Clearly that was a bad copy and paste. It's what I was saying with episode 8. I really like the what changed in the past element. And this was an entire episode of that.
I mean, I was going to put it again in memorable mentions because they do capture the parts that they recreated from the original, they did so extremely faithfully, downright to the music and even the eye catch right in the middle, like, oh, you know, Sha, you know, when they're doing the whole, you know, from the original basically was almost Amuro doing something like as a sword or moving to the camera or a Gundam. And this one was just, you know, gquuuuuuux, right? It's like Sha and gquuuuuuux appeared and then they did it again. So it was very faithful to that. And I liked it. And I also liked how they explained away the differences as well, right? How they modified in fact, they even explained better why Char was absent for like most of the original Gundam run, right? And then reappears at the end. It's because he was working on making, you know, the technology of the original Gundam, plus adding the Psychomu system.
Well, I mean, that wouldn't work here. That wouldn't work here because he was absent in the other one because Amuro was the focus of the other one. He wouldn't be absent here because there's nowhere to be absent from.
Yeah, but in the original, I think it was hinted that he was working with, what's her name? Caecilia for something, and then...
Well, he was working for Caecilia here, too. That doesn't change anything. Yeah. The parts that you're talking about is where he fucks off to some base somewhere, and we never see what he's doing. But that's on Earth. Mm-hmm. Here he's at Granada, the same place we see him at later in the OG. So it doesn't replace those, or explain what he's doing, unless you want to well, conceivably, what he's doing is he's running off to Flanagan Institute.
Yeah.
Because that's where Lala is.
That's in the original. Here, it's all about the gun.
No.
Here, it's
literally in this episode, he goes and talks to Flanagan, too. Flanagan hands off information to him that would later in the OG one get to Caecilia. So conceivably, that implies that he does go to the Flanagan Institute. It's just in this timeline, there is no Lala for him. Well, there is one, but he doesn't know her. So, unlike the Lala story from the episode that you brought up, he doesn't go there, so he never meets her.
But those are our episodes.
All right. Okay. Anything left to say before we leave gquuuuuuux behind?
I wish they, well, it's a Netflix thing, so who knows if Netflix will actually pay for a second season. I doubt it, but if they do, I'll look forward to it.
Yep. All right, then. Well, if there is one, we'll see you there. Otherwise, once again, I've been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below, and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?